My name's Hannah. I'm project manager at Rocket Makers. Been with Rocket Makers just over 3 years now, and I also lead on recruitment for developers and designers and PMs and whatever else we need. Adam?
Yeah, so I'm Adam. I'm a kind of full stack developer, prototyping, bit of everything really. I've been around for basically since we started the company about 11 years now.
Cool. So we're here to talk to you about what we look for during the kind of recruitment and application process. So myself and Adam are involved in nearly all phone screening now. So our process is a 30-minute phone call and then an hour-long interview with Richard, our CEO, and Keith, our CTO. So Keith, our CTO, reviews all the CVs. They get passed through to me and Adam. We do the initial screen and then pass them again. So it's kind of a two-stage interview process. So we're Rocket Makers. Don't know, obviously, how much any of you know about us already, but we work with startups and scale-ups and do some corporate innovation work as well. Huge variety of clients from kind of green energy through to fair tipping. Adam, what else have we got at the moment?
Lots of things. Got a big project in VR, AR at the moment about delivering content to immersive experiences, which is pretty interesting stuff.
We do medical records system for Olympic athletes, which has been going a long time, and just all sorts really. Lots of fun stuff going on at the moment. So there are, I think, just over 30 of us at the moment. We're really fortunate that we're hiring quite a lot despite the economic situation. We've hired 7 people over the course of lockdown, so lots of remote starters, and continuing to grow. So just going to talk you through. So I've got kind of 7 key points on what we look for in CVs, and then a couple of slides on interviews. So some of this stuff is going to seem like quite basic and straightforward, but you'd be surprised at the number of people that don't do it. So we'll start with the basics. Covering letters don't always get through to everyone involved in the kind of recruitment process at Rocket Makers. So obviously everything we're saying is relevant to Rocket Makers, but I'm sure it's similar at a lot of other companies. So Adam won't usually see covering letters. I'll have a read of them, but it's really important to get that kind of succinct paragraph and summary of your core skills on your CV, because you know that your CV is going to be what's passed around between other members of our team to have a look at. Adam, anything to add on that?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, great. So keep your CV as short as possible. Again, this is standard advice, but we get so many 6-page CVs and we just don't need that. We want bullet points. We want a couple of pages. We actually don't need to see your references because that's something that we'd follow up and HR would follow up if you were to kind of get an offer. We don't need lots and lots of personal information. I'll chat about this later, but we do redact any sort of identifying information, gender, age, ethnicity-wise. And we don't need a lot of information on your non-tech work experience. We're really interested in technically what you can do, whether that's inside work or outside work. So it's really, your core skills and the things you're most proud of. So it's really keeping it concise because, our CTO and myself look through a lot of CVs and we try and do it on a regular basis, but we just need those core facts to kind of stand out, and that's most useful to us. So how you display your tech skills is obviously key when you're applying for a developer job. So we receive some CVs. I think it's quite popular at the moment to do like progress bars, showing sort of comparing your, say React, HTML, CSS, your relative skill level. But so we're not a huge fan of those, just because it's kind of like, where would the bar end? It's hard to really gauge your skills from that. What we like and what we look for is kind of your strongest skills at the top of any list. Really focus on those and make it clear, this is what I do well, this is what I like doing. Adam, anything to chip in with?
I guess it's more important to say it's about your confidence with these things, not necessarily how long you've been doing it for, because some things just don't sink in with some people. So it's more interesting to us to know I'm confident at this thing rather than, I've just been doing it for a long time, I think.
Yeah, really good point. Cool. And another thing that, again, seems really obvious, but doesn't always happen in the CVs we see, is if you mention some skills, if you have a long list of skills, show us how and where you learnt those. So like I've just got these images here, we'll see CVs and lots of interesting tech will be mentioned, but we can't see it anywhere in the work experience. And for us, we just need to know how it matches up. If you've done it in your free time or while you're studying, that's great, but just make clear where you've or how you've learned your core skills, because that's what we're looking for. And if we spot something from our tech stack that's particularly relevant to us, we want to then be able to match that up and go, okay, you've been doing that for 2 years at this company. Another kind of aspect of that kind of, telling us your story and making things, the dots join up, I guess, is kind of clarifying if anything might be questioned. So say you've done lots of roles for a short period of time, like that's okay, that happens. But if you're able to just give us a hint, as to why those decisions were made, that just helps us to kind of piece together your story and kind of understand that you're not just hopping from job to job because you don't like being in one place, but maybe you were moving to a new area, you just couldn't see any career development, or it was a short contract and you took that on purpose because you wanted to learn something, or you just needed the money. Like, be honest. We just want to see how everything fits together and understand why you want to come to us.
And because I guess we see employing someone as an investment that works both ways, right? So you're going to get a job out of it, you're going to get skills, and we're going to get someone who's a skilled person. So we want to forge that long-lasting relationship rather than just be a stopgap between something else. So we're just interested that you're committed, so we can commit to you as well.
And a lot of our team, like Adam, have been around quite a long time. So as a company, we tend to be quite loyal to people, and we've got some really loyal employees. So we really value like a long-term working relationship. Kind of linked to that, if you have had a career break for any reason, like that's totally okay too. We're all human and things happen and life happens. We interviewed someone recently who was out of work for a while because they got quite seriously ill. And, all we want to know is kind of, obviously, you don't need to tell us any details, but just to kind of fill in that gap so we can kind of mentally go, that's why that happened. And maybe, you kind of brushed up on some skills during that time off. And that's all really positive to us. And we can just see that story and kind of see where you're coming from, really. And then I mentioned earlier, so we redact all CVs. So we blind review them all. We'll remove any photos, names, anything that identifies your gender or ethnicity, and age if possible, although that's difficult with sort of seeing how long you've been in places. So none of that is needed for us. I guess other companies might not redact in the same way we do, but it supports hiring a more diverse workforce, so it's really important to us. So if you do write in the third person on your CV, just bear in mind that we're going to have to go through and remove all the personal pronouns. So you just make them work for us. So no need for that. So that's the kind of CV stage. This is just kind of, I guess, another example of just how concise we like things to be. We just need, what were you doing? Is there a link to it that we can see? When were you doing it? And literally just a few sentences, just really pulling out those key points. Like, what did you achieve? What was the tech? What were the core other skills you gained? Because, like I say, we see a lot of these. We just need the highlights from you, really. Cool. So on to interviewing and phone screening. So, like I said, myself and Adam do most of the phone screening at Rocket Makers. So it's a 30-minute video call. And this is meant to be quite informal and not scary. And we just want to chat through. It is just talking through your skills and experience, but not at a highly technical level. So, Adam, I don't know if you can say a bit more about the sort of questions you'd ask.
Yeah. So, I basically just like to get an idea of where people feel comfortable and have the most confidence. We try and look at a scale of from visual design all the way back to like infrastructure and that kind of thing to work out where you fit in that kind of tech spectrum. And it can be that you're really good at front end at the moment, but you're actually super interested in things like Docker or Kubernetes and kind of infrastructure stuff. And that's like as important, right? Because we will happily hire people who just have a real passion to learn this thing, as well as people who have experience in a specific thing. So yes, it's again about where you feel comfortable rather than experience, stuff you enjoy doing and good at, I guess.
Yeah, preference as much as skill as well. That's what we want to know. And we'll tell you more about us during this as well, and kind of how we work and the details of how our teams work, and where different people kind of sit in the business. You know, some people do multitask a lot and work on lots of projects. Some people get really in depth and focus on one. So we'll just try and learn, you know, where you'd see yourself fitting, and what you prefer, and kind of really you can just find out if the way we work actually appeals to you, because it won't appeal to everyone. And that's important for you to know as well, because you might decide actually we're not the right place for you. So yeah, no tough tech questions. This is just sort of a values match, really. Me and Adam will also be looking for how you fit with our core company values, which I probably should list now, and I won't be able to remember if I try, but they will be on our website, not already, soon. Okay, stage 2. So this is where if me and Adam speak to you and think it sounds like someone who's going to be a good fit, really interested in what we do, and if you want to take us to the next stage as well, then it will be an interview with Richard, our CEO, and Keith, our CTO. So Keith's pre-selected the CVs at that initial stage, so he'll already have a bit of an idea. This is more technical. So this is kind of where to spend your time preparing for. It's mainly going to focus on kind of specific tech and stuff you've mentioned, as well as Keith might kind of question you on stuff you're learning on the side, or things you might not have heard of, just to find out, just to get a sense of what you're familiar with. Adam, have you got kind of more to say on this?
Yeah, I mean, there won't be any kind of formal technical test because we don't believe in doing that. No one performs well at those. Even if you know it, you can forget everything. It's a pretty high pressure situation. So we don't do any of that. And yeah, just as Hannah said, we value honesty over anything. So if you haven't heard of something that Keith mentions, that's absolutely fine, because not everyone has. There's a whole array of tech you could be working with, and it's the fundamentals and the interest that are important, rather than, you know, knowing some really bespoke piece of technology that we might happen to be using. If you know it, that's great, but if you don't, it's not a problem. Just be honest about it, really.
Absolutely. And we don't usually ask sort of specific competency questions, but the best sort of answers are the ones where you actually pull out an example of a project you've worked on or something you've done, and just chat about it, really. It's not meant to be really intensive. Like Adam said, there's no test. It's just getting you to talk about what you've done, and hopefully you'll be able to speak really confidently about that. Cool. So now, just to kind of finish up, we're just going to whiz through a few of the members of our team and kind of how they got started with us. And not everyone went through the sort of formal interview process, if you like, but some really interesting stories, and just really to show you that we're open to people from all backgrounds who are just really interested in software development and want to work with us. So Alice, she did her A-levels, was running music events, totally creative rather than technical, came and did an internship with us that was a non-tech internship, so doing marketing and kind of things on the business side. Decided she really liked creating things and building things, went to Maiden Academy and studied for a bootcamp course to become a software developer, and has been doing an apprenticeship with us for the last year. I think she's just coming to the end of that. So kind of training on the job. And really interested in front end and design, and a bit of a non-traditional kind of route. Vince is a back-end developer with us. He used to be a professional chef, which is great to have around because he used to run MasterChef sessions back when we could use our kitchen, which was really fun. He's got a background in not tech languages, but spoken languages. And he studied at the Open University to become a software developer. So again, he's not been doing it all his life. Adam, do you want to chat about Danny?
Yeah, so Danny came to us as a friend, basically, just completely out of the blue, and thought, I want to do something different. This sounds interesting. No formal background or anything at all, just had a really good attitude and wanted to learn. So yeah, we took him on, and he's still with us now. So I can't remember how long he's been around.
I think it's probably 6-7 years, isn't it? It's probably a while.
Yeah, definitely. So very different story for him, but one of our best developers, I'd say.
Yeah. And then Rob, more traditional route. He used to enjoy building computers, but he actually failed IT at school. So, you know, that doesn't really mean anything. He still went on to do a computer science degree, did an internship in Germany, and then came to us. So yeah, Vince and Rob went through our sort of standard interview process, and then Danny and Alice were a little bit different. But just to give you a flavour of where people are coming from, and yeah, we just want to hear your stories. We're not looking for a certain type of person, really. Yeah, thanks to Bath Digital Festival. So all the sponsors, I'm sure you've seen them at other talks. And yeah, we welcome any questions, and hoping you've got lots of questions for us, because that's meant to be the main focus of the talk. So we're going to have to just check out the question and answer section to see if you have any. Okay, yeah, question from Matt. So a lot of these CV points seem more relevant to more experienced developers. Is there anything you'd add for a more junior dev with little or no experience? Do you want to take this one first, Adam?
Yeah, so I mean that was me when I started 11 years ago. I had no formal training, no real background in development, and it's hard to remember that far back, but it's it's just about showing your interest, really, about the little bits of stuff you've done. I'm personally way more interested in just hearing how enthusiastic you are about learning these things. That means more to me than, I've been doing this for a year or so, which is fine. But it's that little spark of, I'm really interested in this that I think we're looking for. So if you can just put across the enthusiasm to fill out the gaps where maybe you don't have that years of experience that more senior devs have, that's what we're looking for, really.
Yeah, attitude counts for a lot. And we actually spoke to someone the other day, didn't we, Adam, who was even sort of chatting about their customer service experience in another industry, and how that could apply to working directly with clients, which is great. Alongside their just passion, clear passion for tech and the different bits they've been doing. It's not been extensive, but you can tell they're trying things out and kind of having fun with it. Cool. Any other questions? Feel free to just stick them in the Q&A. Any thoughts from anyone? Happy to chat around anything. There we go, we've got another one. Is my application more likely to be considered if I applied to you directly rather than through a recruiter or website? Yeah, that's a good question. We generally don't use recruiters. We have tried a few in the past, sort of specific ones, but generally we avoid them just because there is a large fee on top of us then hiring.
It's that, and some recruiters can be good, but a lot of them, because of the way their compensation works, they're less likely to try and place you in something which fits well for you. It'll just be like, oh, this person does computers, here's a computers job, and it won't be a very good match for you. So we find better candidates are the ones that either apply directly or, not with a recruiter in the middle.
Yeah, so basically anything that goes through our workable ad comes straight through and goes through our process. So we'll see it and get back to you as soon as we can. It's not always as quick as we'd like. We do get some follow-up emails going, have you got my application? And we try to reply to those, but yes, we'll have it and it'll be going through the process. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah, great. And we've got another one. When you're looking at CVs, how long do you typically spend looking at each one? And how many might you look at for one role? Another good question. So myself and Keith we try and spend up to an hour a week. That doesn't always happen because we've both got quite busy diaries. So every few weeks we'll try and spend maybe 45 minutes. And usually we'll have maybe 5 to 10 to look through at a time. So what are we spending on each? It's probably sort of 5 minutes reading through, kind of discussing, looking at it. So I guess it's not that long really. And how many? So for one role, so we have at Rocket Makers rolling kind of ads. So we're always looking, we're always open. So we don't usually have just one role go out, but we probably get 5-10 applicants a week, possibly. Sometimes less. Depends how recently we've put the ad out and how many positions we're advertising. So yeah, a fair few, but just a sort of steady stream. Adam, have you got anything else think is useful to add?
I don't think so. Other than if anyone does think of anything outside of this, feel free to drop us an email. It's just Hannah or Adam at rocketmakers.com.
Yeah. Any use of freelancers? We don't actually use freelancers at the moment. Actually, we've got a freelance illustrator, I guess.
Yeah, we do for specific things that we don't do. If we need to do any like video production, like we don't have those skills in house. So,
but not for development. I don't.
Not for a core stuff.
Yeah, so not for core development. Cool. And then lots coming through now. I should do this. Do you take bribes? Sadly not, unless Adam would like to. Was that a you do?
Yeah, I do personally. So
Okay, what would you
apply
accept?
directly to me. We'll see what offers I get, I guess.
Okay. All right, offers to Adam. What has been the worst CV or application that either of you have seen? Oh.
I definitely have one in mind. But
Oh, do you?
yeah, I mean, I don't like to talk about it in too much detail because it's people try with these things. Some people miss the mark, but it was just an insane amount of detail about this person's life. Nothing to do with software, just about all this like pub that he bought, and then someone like took it from him, and he had to go through court and fight this legal battle. It was like a 3 or 4 page essay on this whole story, which was crazy. It was really interesting, but I don't think he got through to interview after that. But,
Uh,
yeah, pretty off the mark that one.
I do think for me, it's the ones where there's just so much there, just so much text and waffle. Like for me, it's just all about being concise. Yes, and you do sometimes get ones with photos and that are just sort of formatted in an old school way, which is always sort of, oh, it sounds bad, doesn't it? But it does, if something looks visually good, especially if it was a front end developer or a designer, that is, you're going to kind of look at their skills through the CV. Cool. There is often an Oh, sorry, I'm reading them the wrong way around. I'll try and do them in order. You mentioned not everyone at Rocket Maker's seeing covering letters, but would an application feel less personal if the application wasn't tailored to Rocket Makers?
It's a tough one because covering letters, a lot of these job sites now will just generate you one. So the place you're looking for will say, I would really like to work at company name here because of these reasons. So it's hard because those things have been so automated. And we get that kind of information. We try and get to know you a little bit in our first phone screening anyway. So that's why we'd like to do that. Really, we're just looking for those kind of base technical skills and bullet points. And as I said, just because there's so little time to get through these things, you don't have time to read like lots of in-depth information. So
yeah, and I mean, so I would say I do glance through covering letters, and if there's anything kind of key in there, I'll pass that on. But a lot of the time, you see a lot of the same words. I'm really passionate about working for Rocket Makers because you're doing some good projects. Do you know what I mean? That's not anything kind of substantial. If there's a really strong link between one of our projects or something, our tech that you really want to highlight, like do that definitely, and that's really positive. But I think just not for the sake of it. Don't feel like you have to waffle on about how great we are. We don't need that. We just want to see that you've got some skills we might like and you might fit in well.
yeah, I mean, if you've got a genuine interest in something we're doing, or you do feel like a personal attachment to do it, drop us an email, right? You've got plenty of space there to kind of accurately convey what you're thinking about. I think that's a better way to do it.
Yep. Cool. There is often an expectation in tech that we live and breathe our jobs. Would you expect to see evidence that an applicant spends the majority of their free time doing development work? I think that's a really valid question. And also kind of, we've discussed that around sort of the diversity piece and that some people just don't have the time. And yeah, Adam, do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I do, or did, my life's become a lot more busy with the addition of a child, but I did live and breathe technology because I love it, and some people do, and that's not a bad thing. But also, I now appreciate that not everyone has the time for it. I just know everyone wants to. So, while it's nice to know that you have interest in it, we're definitely not going to expect you to work outside of work ever. It's just, we're just looking for that bit of passion for it, and that doesn't have to mean spending every minute of every day looking at it. It's just having some way of keeping up to date with things, and
I think that's it, isn't it? It's just finding a way to show, that you really love what you're doing, and that there are different ways, many different ways to do that. And we've got developers at Rocket Makers who, like Adam, just do code all the time and up late at night, and they just love it. And we've got people who are really still really passionate about coding, but it's a job for them, and they work really hard at work, and they really enjoy what they do. But that's it. Yeah, it's totally fine to be.
Yeah.
As long as you can get across your enthusiasm, really. Sorry, I'm conscious we've got 4 minutes. We'll try and get through these 3 questions. Will you be more open to remote working in the future, given the current world situation? Simple answer, yes. But Adam, do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, I mean, it's true, right? I mean, we never thought that we would be a remote company. Got no choice at the moment. But I think it still really is important to us for that connection, for people to be there in person when that is possible. Who knows? But I definitely think it's opened our eyes a bit that we can kind of make this remote thing work. So definitely more open to it. Yeah.
So yeah, at the moment we're saying we'd like people to be close enough that they can visit the office occasionally because we like to be able to get people together. But it's fine if you couldn't come in every day. We're totally open to probably mostly remote working. We just want people to be able to visit rather than being in like New Zealand or whatever, or even somewhere where you've got to fly. Just makes it tricky. Am I reading these in order again? As an Open University student, it's great to see Open University grad working for you. As I go through the degree, I learn more skills and areas. At what point do you think it's worth looking for work in the field? Oh, that's a good question. That would be a good one to ask Vince. That is tricky because if you're studying it, I guess, on the side of other work, probably when you're partway through, it's like Adam's been saying, it's about if you can talk about it confidently and get it across and feel confident and comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if someone approaches in that situation, whether halfway through a course, be able to tell you that, oh yeah, we think you should finish it first or just get a bit more experience under your belt, right? It's just about the conversation. So whenever you feel comfortable, like you could do the job a little bit, I think, yeah, just reach out.
And you could always start to build those relationships with companies, before you're ready to apply, or you might get an interview and then come back again later. How have the Rocket Makers team found the challenges of 2020 and COVID, lockdown, etc.? Adam, you can kick off with this one.
Yeah, I mean it's been tough because it has for everyone. I think mainly because there's no remote working. Everyone's got to be in the office because we have this really cool kind of vibe, and everyone likes spending time together. So the assumption was because we're a technology company, we can work in computers, remote will just work, but it's not that simple. So it's been an uphill struggle, I think, but because the team works so well together, everyone's coming with different ideas of things we can still do. We have these things called donuts, which are a Slack add-on that just matches you up with a couple of random people every week, and you can just go and take half an hour and just have a chat off topic and off work stuff. And yeah, so we're finding our way, I think.
Yeah,
Confident.
and we're really conscious of like the mental health kind of impacts of it, really aware of that, and we kind of catch up on that, and we're very open to the team needing time and needing a chat, and that's all very, very much accepted and really positive in that sense. I think, and we've been onboarding remotely, which has been new for us, but I think that's been going quite well, and we've had some positive feedback from recent starters. So we're getting used to it, and I feel like we're functioning pretty well now, I think. Looking forward to kind of seeing each other occasionally in the office, but and sorry, it is 2:00, but there's one more question. How does the process differ between developers and designers? Yeah, we have focused mainly on developers here. The reason for that is we don't often hire designers. We have grown our design team slightly, but it's still a lot smaller than our dev team. I guess the main difference is that rather than developers being involved in that process, we'd have our lead designer or another designer involved in that process and looking at the CVs and being in the interviews rather than it being our CTO. He'd have a lot less sort of input into hiring designers, although that would still be, because he's one of the co-founders, the final stage would still be with Richard and Keith. Anything to add on that, Adam?
No, that sounds good.
And I guess more visual examples are often good for designers, and it is a little bit different in kind of what you show, just because it's if you're a back-end developer, it's harder to sort of demonstrate visually what you've done. But yeah, you can share a GitHub account, but as much sort of portfolio wise is really helpful. Cool. Great. Thanks everyone for coming. Sorry we couldn't see you all, but hopefully we answered your questions helpfully enough from reading them. If any of you are looking for work at the moment, we wish you all the best with it, and do feel free to get in touch with us if you think we could be a good fit. Thanks for coming, and thanks to Bath Digital Festival.
Thanks everyone.
Cool.